I'm Jessica.
I'm Emmalynn.
And in today's video, we are going to be giving a brief recap of the books that we read in May. So,
you have more.
Start this video off, I will start because for once I have more than you, which never happens. So, we're going to acknowledge it. The first book I finished this month was none other than Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And let me just say, I totally get the hype of this duology over the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And if you don't know what Six of Crows is about, this book follows 6 crows who are in sort of like a gang of criminals. And in this particular book, they are trying to get away with like one of the biggest heists imaginable. So they're trying to break into this like very well guarded castle to take someone who is being held as prisoner for their own, and if they do, they get a lot of money. And yeah, this book has a lot of found family aspects. It has some crime, some of the Grisha universe, magic system a little bit, but it's just overall a very good time, and I really enjoyed it and give it 5 stars.
Okay, my first book, I'm just going to preface this by saying I had a good reading month as far as number of books, but I think there was only one book above a 3-star rating. 2, maybe, which is depressing. And they were like the low end of a 3-star, you know? Like you enjoy in the moment, made the cut. But right now, I don't know if I could tell you what half of these books are about, because I just don't remember. So maybe we should change the rating. First up, we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. And this is a gothic romance book. I thought there was going to be more fantasy because it's kind of categorized as that. But we follow Signa, who is 19 and she's an orphan. And one day she goes to live with her last remaining relatives, a classic trope. It's the trope of Gallant. If you've read Gallant, it feels very much the same. I'm not gonna lie. This is just more young adult. That's more middle grade YA. And the love interest in this book is Death, and Signa can see when people die. She can kind of like pass through walls, and every family member she's ever lived with has died by some cause, and she kind of blames it on Death. I wish he had a more creative name.
Because just Death?
Yeah, he's like the Grim Reaper. Like, he just comes to like take their souls, but his name is Death. It just didn't do it for me. Like, the romance was not believable. It wasn't even enemies to lovers. It was just, below mid. But I love the cover so much. Maybe I'll read it to see what happens. I don't know. So, 3 stars, maybe 2.75. I don't know.
2.75.
It feels wrong.
Okay, the next book I read, I saw was available on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm pretty sure it still is, and that is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I put this book on hold at our library a long time ago, and there was like 18 people in line. So when I saw this on Kindle Unlimited, I was like, yes, I'm gonna read this. And I read this in like 2 days, I think. So if you're looking for a fast-paced thriller, something that's easy to read, that will keep you on the edge of your seat, maybe you're in a reading slump, this would be a perfect book to pick up. But this follows a young housemaid named Millie who just got hired to work for the Winchester family, who's like this wealthy, like probably in their 30s couple, and they have a daughter. And she's not only going to work as their housemaid, but she's also going to live with them because at times she needs to care for their daughter as well. And like initially she is really drawn to the wife. I think her name is Nina. and she just really thinks like she has it all together, but like slowly as Millie works for this family, like some things just aren't adding up. She feels like Nina is purposely like dirtying up the house, so she'll have to clean it, or she'll like send her on errands for the wrong day, or just like she's kind of feels like she's sabotaging her, and she's like, okay, she's clearly crazy. So then Millie and the husband Andrew kind of have like this bond over how crazy Nina is. Like, he's like, well, I'm married to her and she's your employer, so they have like this common element of having to endure Nina. But then like you think you know where the book is going to go, and it just drastically does like a full 360, and you're like, what? And the thing that made this book go by quickly too is it alternates POVs, but not until like the giant plot twist. So that was really interesting, because you're following Millie's perspective, and then when it does the plot twist, you start following Nina's perspective, and I just did not see it coming. So I really enjoyed this book. Now the more I think about it, I think I would round up my rating to 4.5 stars.
Okay, my next book is An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pan. And we're going to pause for 1 second because I have a special edition of this book. And I don't like this book. And it's sad. Okay, we're back. So I found this at Goodwill for
like $2, I think?
I think it was actually $1 because I feel like their paperbacks are cheaper. But I don't know. $1, $2, great deal. It's either a Louis crate or Owl crate, fairy loop, neither. But it has sprayed edges. It has a special cover. It's signed. Like, I was like, okay, I've been wanting to read this for so long because I heard Adrienne Young talk about it. We all know I like Adrienne Young.
Just a little bit.
And I was like, okay, I'm sold. I read it very quickly, starting out, and then it just
fizzled out.
Fell flat again. And I don't even know what this is about, because it was the biggest fever dream. You think it's a contemporary, you think it's a fantasy, you think it's a mafia vibe. But yeah, there's Chinese mythology, and I just can't keep up. And there are so many things I wanted to know more about, and everything was resolved a little too quickly for my taste, and I wanted to explore the mafia vibe more, and it didn't happen. It was like These Violet Delights, present day, not fantasy, and they're not like a game. That's it. So that doesn't sound very interesting, does it?
So you stripped away all the good things?
Because, yeah, it's marketed as Romeo and Juliet meets Chinese mythology. And what are the names in These Violet Delights? Roman and Juliet, pretty sure. Something like that. It's based off of Romeo and Juliet. So why? It was just sad, okay? I don't recommend this book. If you don't want to be disappointed. But everyone, you can look at it, because it's so pretty. I'm done with mine right now.
Okay. The next book, Emmalynn and I both read, and we have like a full video dedicated to this series, which is, or a duology, which is the It Happened in Nashville duology by Sarah Adams. The first book I absolutely loved, like probably one of my favorite rom-coms of all time, and that is The Off Limits Rule. And this follows a single mom named Lucy who just moved back in with her brother because she's kind of trying to like get her life back together. She wanted to be closer to family again, so her son could grow up around his uncle and his grandparents, and she's just trying to figure out like where her life is gonna go now that she's a single mom. And she meets her brother's best friend Cooper, who is like a playboy flirt, and her brother's like, stay away from him, he's not good for you, blah blah blah. And she just constantly finds herself being drawn to Cooper. Now I will say, I've heard mixed reviews about this, but honestly for me, the thing that I love most about this book was Lucy's inner monologue, I don't know. But it was just so funny and so relatable, and I just thought it was a great time. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Just watch the video.
Yeah, watch the video if you want to know more.
Need to know more.
And then we quickly skirted on over to the second book, which is The Temporary Roommate. These characters are introduced into the off-limits rule, and then you also have glimpses of Cooper and Lucy in this book, which I loved that they were still included. But this follows Lucy's boss. I can't remember her name. Jessie, who is the owner of the salon that Lucy works at, and then Lucy's brother, Andrew. And so they're put into a predicament where they have to live together. Jessie is like 8 months pregnant, so there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of feels, there's a lot of pranks because Jessie does not like Andrew at all, and you can't really understand why until the very end, which was one thing that I found a little bit annoying because I'm like, girl, just let it go. Like, be an adult, talk about it, resolve your issues. Like, we don't need to be pranking each other if you're adults. A pregnant adult at that. So, this book, I liked it. It was funny, but it wasn't like... It didn't give me life as much as the other one. Yeah. So, the previous book I gave 4.5 stars. This one I gave 3.5.
Okay. My next book is The Siren of Sussex by Mimi Matthews. And I read A Holiday by Gaslight, which is a novella by her, and it was amazing.
I forgot about that
the
book.
Vibes.
I got this for her.
The vibes were there. This book, I don't really know how I feel about it still, because I was definitely in a slump for about 3/4 of it. And then the last quarter, I was like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, is this great because it got me out of my slump? Or is it great because it's a good book? I don't really know. But it's very character driven. It's set in the Victorian time period. All good things. If you like, Pride and Prejudice. If you're an Elizabeth Bennet girly. If you're a Jo March girly. You will love our main character. Evelyn, I believe is her name. And she loves to ride horses. And so she goes in one day to this dress shop to get a habit made. Just, like what they wore to ride side saddle. And the guy is an Indian man who is very discriminated against, and so then they have the problem of, she's a person of society, he's kind of half English, half Indian because he's lived in England pretty much his whole life, but people don't see him as an English man. And that was really interesting, and I kind of love when books give guy characters the more feminine classified hobbies and interests. Like, I love books where the guy likes to read and the girl doesn't, and breaking the stereotypes. So it was really good in that. I totally believe the romance. There's strong family dynamics, strong sibling relationships. I think it was good, but I don't know what I would rate it because I don't know how I felt overall.
Okay. The next book I read, also on Kindle Unlimited, and another Sarah Adams book, and that is the first book in the Dalton family duology, which is called Toucan and Gentleman. And this book follows our main character, cannot remember her name, Rose, and she is a con woman and has been a con woman basically her whole life because she's an orphan. She grew up on the streets of London, and so that's how she had to provide for herself, was being a con artist. And so she gets assigned this job to go to this Earl's house or something and pretend that she is a pregnant woman who is pregnant by him, and she's going to con him out of money by being if you don't give me money, then I'm gonna spread your scandal. So she goes and knocks on this guy's house, and she's like, he's not what I thought he would look like, and he's younger than I thought. he would be and blah, blah, blah. So she's like still trying to pull off this job, and lo and behold, she has knocked on the wrong door. And so instead of the guy telling her that he's not who she thinks he is, he goes along with it. And he's like, well, get into my carriage and we'll talk about it. And so she does, and he's like going home to visit his family for the first time in years. And so she then has to pretend to be his fiance because he's going home. And then like they keep up the ruse because when he gets home, he finds out his sister is pregnant and she had just had a miscarriage, and he doesn't want to like stress her out. So he's like, please just keep on pretending to be my fiance until like my sister is far enough into her pregnancy where we don't have to worry about her anymore. So she does, and then she finds herself falling in love with not just him but his family too, because his family kind of goes against the stereotype of like the typical wealthy family that she's used to conning and used to taking advantage of. So she's like questioning her own, you know, lifestyle by this point. Like they kind of go against the grain of the people that I have been used to taking advantage of. But it was such a good book. I loved it so much. If you, again, it's like a Regency novel, so that was fun. But I gave this book 4.5 stars. So again, if you're looking for some Kindle Unlimited ideas, all of these last 4 books that I mentioned are on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay, my next book is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan, we'll go with. And this follows Nora, who is a screenwriter, and she writes screenplays, I guess, for the Romance Channel, is literally what it's called. They didn't even make up a name. It's called the Romance Channel. And she just wrote a screenplay, whatever, about her divorce. She completely wrote everything that happens pretty much to a T when her husband left her, and it becomes this $1 million movie, and they're filming it at her house, and so naturally she falls in love with the guy that's playing her ex-husband. And his name is Leo, and he's very interesting. They like are filming there for a week, and he decides he just wants to stay. So he just stays at her house and sleeps in her little shed that she writes in, and she's a single mom now. She has 2 kids, and I loved the description of her big house. They would like sit on the porch every morning and watch the sunrise. It was very Hallmarky, and I needed that. Except the miscommunication trope.
It's
I know,
so overplayed.
There's just got to be something else. And it lasted for like, I don't know if it really was this long, but I would guess 100 pages. And it is dual POV, which helped because you would see like both of their sides. But I'm like, what is going on? Like, you as the reader don't know what the miscommunication was. And you don't find out till almost the very end. And it was so stupid. I'm like, this is like a punchline of a joke, but I'm just not getting it. Like, this is not funny. This is not cute. And they just like, back together immediately. Okay, no problem. And I'm like, I wish it would have been a little more believable in that regard. I mean, the whole thing is kind of outlandish, but still. Their relationship was very believable, but the miscommunication trope,
not so much.
It was just like a Disney Channel kind of thing. Like, oh, really? That's it? I'm so crazy. Why didn't I just ask? I don't know. Why didn't you just ask? So, I'd give this book, I'd say about 3 stars. It would have been 3.5, maybe 4, but the miscommunication really bumped it down for me.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, then I decided to finish the Six of Crows duology and pick up Crooked Kingdom. Can't really say a whole lot about this book because it literally picks right up. Like, right up where...
That was...
Whoa, that was...
Literally... Oh, why are they over here?
The crows are caught because they know we're talking about them. It picks up right where Six of Crows left off. So I can't really even say what happened in this book, but I will say there is things I feel like are much more high stakes. You get introduced to some new characters, which I've loved, and you find yourself falling more in love with the characters that were introduced. The found family trope is going strong, and it gets stronger, and I just love them all. And I am a major Kaz stan after this book. Like, I think the way he is portrayed in the first season of Shadow and Bone, the show, like, did him dirty and did not do him justice of, like, how amazing he is in the books. Like,
well, we haven't watched the second season.
We haven't watched the second season,
because we're
so
waiting on my dad.
Maybe that's a little more accurate. But my man is ruthless, rotten to the core, but I love it so much.
I just seen the Descendants song.
Rotten to the core. Yeah, he deserves all the hype. Yeah, that's all I have to say. 5 stars. Easy 5 stars. No questions asked.
Okay, next we have another shared book, which
yes,
we are not going to get into right now.
Not going to get into that nitty gritty.
We'll give you a spoiler for our vlog that is coming. We read
The Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing, which is sold out everywhere, apparently, across America. I snagged a copy about a month ago, and I've just been hanging on to it until we could read it together. We were lucky enough to find a copy at our on-post library, so we read it together, and we will have a full vlog on our thoughts. But I will just say, I do not understand the hype at all. This book was just totally mid to me, and I'll just leave it at that. For me, the only redemptive quality of this book was the dragons. Like, that is why I finished it, honestly. Like, if the dragon element would have not been in there, I wouldn't have finished this book. The spice bothered me because although it was easy to skip over, like, they still talked, like, dirty to each other, and I did not like that because that's not something you can easily skip over, so that rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, the romance, I just didn't, it was unbelievable because it's like, you're enemies to lovers, and then, like, as soon as you're lovers, you're like, all in. And that's just, I don't know, that's just, like, what was the switch,
I just can't, like, Cassie and, Jace, okay? They're enemies, they're lovers. They're enemies, they're lovers. And that is believable. Like, there has to be a back and forth for me to believe it's actually enemies to lovers.
Or you were never really enemies if you can just, like, flip the switch. That's what, that's
like, just because your parents have bad blood, like, that could be any, like, Disney Channel movie ever. Like, oh, we're not supposed to talk to each other.
Yeah.
But we did.
Anyways.
And we liked it. It's fine.
We'll talk more about our feelings. I have lots of thoughts about this book, but I'll save it for the vlog. I could dissect, like, every book this kind of copies. It just seems like it's been done before, but, like, even though it's been done before better than this. So, I give it 3 stars. I totally, like, this book was mid. It was just mid.
You have one left, I have none.
Oh, and then I finished The Hotel Nantucket by Elin Hilderbrand last night. I have read the Paradise Trilogy, and that's the only other books I've ever read by her, so I was interested to pick another one up. I did enjoy this book, but I didn't love it, and I wasn't as invested as the Paradise Trilogy, which I guess is understandable because with a trilogy, the characters grow on you, you're following them through a journey, etc. But this book follows a young woman named Lisbeth who just became the general manager of a hotel in Nantucket. And this hotel has had, like, millions, I think, like, $30 million spent on it to renovate it, to get it, like, up to the next level by this businessman who lives in London. He's never even set foot in this hotel, and she gets the job of being the general manager. So this follows, like, her hiring a staff, her trying to get like good ratings for the hotel, trying to get it booked for the summer, those kinds of things. And she really like pours her heart and soul into this book. And she also just went through a really bad breakup with her boyfriend, who she had poured her heart and soul into a restaurant with. So there's like some romance that comes into play. There's some mystery elements. There's a ghost that haunts the hotel because she was murdered like back in the 20s in this hotel. So I don't know. It's a fun summer read. It wasn't like anything mind-blowing, but it was a good time. I gave it, I think I'll say 3.5 stars. Yeah.
Okay. Cheers to a better month.
Yes.
I hope.
Indeed.
I'm finally going to order Happy Place today.
I'm going to read my first Emily Henry book in Beach Reads.
Which is the only one I haven't read.
So, stay tuned. Maybe we'll do a vlog of reading.
We're just
Emily
trying
Henry.
to read, you know, all the most popular books right now. And it's not even on purpose.
No.
It's just happening.
It's just happening. And we need a good... Oh, we decided that since Fourth Wing was a major disappointment for us, we needed a redemptive moment for the fantasy trope, and so we are going to read Kingdom of Ash. We're doing it.
We're terrified.
Committing. I'm sad for this era to end, but excited at the same time. All the feels. So,
but we will not be vlogging that because
no.
What a trip it'll be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how long this is gonna take to read.
Probably all month.
And I gotta read something in between.
Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this May wrap up. Let us know what was your favorite book that you read in the month of May. Maybe we'll add it to our TBR for the summer, perhaps. And we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.